Hey everybody, hope you're well. I am back. First live stream I've done in quite some time. Been uh, busy building a firm. Bill's busy with um, making sure that this thing called Zenny 62 Media gets off the ground, and um, I'm happy to say that things are going extremely well, very well. And just came back from the longest and most successful trip to the NFL Combine I've had. Um, and I plan to make future versions of this longer and even more successful and have a team because now we'll have the funding to get and build the team, which would be really cool. Um, so I want to share with you all. I'm going to wait until some of you all come in, but I want to share with you all what I learned and give a window into my strategy going in and what I was adjusting to, expectations, and what my technology allowed me to do faster than other people. Um, and well, it worked really well. And all of that, yeah, we'll focus on Brady, the combine attendees, um, what's going on with that, why it seems like there's all this, flying around, all this crap flying around, right? And give you a picture of that. And I'm sure some of you coming in are going to ask me questions about the stadium and all that, and I'm prepared to answer all that and folks I saw and everything else. So, but I don't want to. I want to wait and talk to you in general and allow the group to build up, as much as we can, uh, for the sole purpose of not having to repeat myself a lot. I'm going to have to anyway, right? My first impression of Indy, well, I've been there before, but it's cold. That place, it started off, chill, right? And then I went an extra day. Yeah, look, I screwed up my original plan was to go in on Wednesday, and I foolishly, because I've been so busy, I foolishly thought the schedule was going to be like it was before, and the league had made a dramatic change to the schedule to fit this prime time objective, right? Um, so that happens is they had all the quarterbacks and wide receivers front loaded. Hey, how you doing, News Clips? Had all of them front loaded. And when I mean front loaded, they had them all on Tuesday. And my philosophy going into that is, you know, there are media who go in there and they're only going to want the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Whereas I wanted the players that were at the combine. When you're at the combine, it's a big deal. It means that you've done extremely well. News Clip says he doesn't want a 42-year-old quarterback talking about Brady. When you're at the combine, it means you've done extremely well for your college or university. Okay, so what I was looking for was the people who you were going to pay attention to and hear about, but hey, I would turn around and have the only video about it, one of the few, and therefore my media is more monetized. But the way I've designed my media, being able to make blog posts with just this smartphone that become videos first, really increased the value of having a person there. Whereas a common news organization will send three or two, a person or maybe three or four. They'll have a camera. That person will have this big camera. I saw this rather attractive reporter woman carrying this big camera. I mean, just on her shoulder. And I'm thinking, gosh, thank God for my smartphone. And she had that, and she had this this tripod that it sat on. Took up 3 feet, and she had to carry that around. Fortunately, for 2 or 3 interviews, whereas I was able to click off quite a few interviews. I uploaded in all, I believe, 42 videos. I still have more content um, there. And the reason why I didn't go live was because when you go live, you have to wait for the video to process the stream and convert it into video on demand, and that time takes away from your ability to make another video because you have to move away from the screen, right? Uh, and yet there's a player talking, so you miss that player. So in order to avoid that, I decided simply to go all the video on demand, not do the live stream as it was happening. If I take another person, next time that person will just be live stream, and I'll do, we'll figure that out. All right. Now, I think there's enough of you here where I can talk about Brady. Let me explain to you how let me explain to you how I discovered the information I'm about to share with you about Brady. The real secret is to really hang out at the hotel and just sit down. You want to eat something, and I'll get to that news clips. You want to eat something, go to the JW Marriott. That's one of the central hotels. It's got a great restaurant, great bar. And I've been around the league long enough to where if I walk in, there's someone that I know. And I love to get to know people. But if you sit down, okay, there, as happened with me, people will sit around you, and the conversations that they have and that they include you in are about the business of the NFL. And that's what happened to me the previous 2 nights. I was at the Combine at the JW Marriott. It also happened, I also went to the National Black Journalists dinner that was hosted by Steve Jefferson. We took this gigantic photograph that I've got to find. But that's how you find the information, by knowing and talking to people. I have nothing against interviewing John Gruden. And I knew something was up because I saw the people that were involved in interviewing him kind of clumped in the media area. And I thought, well, they're involved in something, and that's great for them. But I have an entirely different strategy because I feel that I can find out more about what the Raiders are actually doing by talking to other people who are doing business with the Raiders or players who have been interviewed by them. So I know there are 3 defensive tackles that the Raiders have talked to. Okay, so Gruden says, oh, we're going to build offense and all this. That's a smokescreen, because when you start talking to players and finding out, like, did the Raiders talk to you as a running back? Well, you think no, which is logical because it would seem they are set at that position. Although they did take a sniff at DeAndre Swift from Georgia, who wouldn't take a sniff at him, and he's a top running back, right? But when you start asking the question, what teams you talked to? Okay, it's quite clear the Raiders are on the hunt for defensive tackles. That is quite clear. They are on the hunt for a star defensive tackle, a 3 technique guy who's versatile, who can make a difference. It's not to say that they won't take a shot at Judy or somebody like that, right? But you'll bet your bippies the Raiders are going to make up for the fact that they did not draft it high. All right. And news clip says you wish they work on the secondary. Look, they're going to do that. The Raiders, from the people I talked to, are counting more toward defense. But as far as the whole Tom Brady thing, let me tell you what's happening. Tom Brady is talking to everybody. What Tom Brady is trying to do was encapsulated for me by a source who said Tom Brady just wants to feel loved. So he's out there. He's kind of like, he's the belle of the ball. He's not there per se, right? But he's the belle of the ball. He wants to drum up, churn up buzz, get people talking about him, get teams playing off each other, make it seem like, oh yeah, he's gonna walk. But I'll tell you, the person that told me this is a league guy. When I say a league guy, that's as far as I will tell you, right? He's a league guy. And it was in a setting where he was talking with, and this all just happened around me. I'm sitting, and I'll be blunt, okay? A lot of this is racial. Most of the media is white by far. So if you're black like me, you sit down, people think, or you're an agent, or you're a trainer, and they're black. Or if they're not black, generally they're white and female, and they have their relationship. When I say relationships, I mean business relationships with the athletes and with the agents. It's a different type of culture. Or they're coaches who are used to having great relationships with people who are white, who have relationships who are solid with African Americans. I'm giving you a perspective you're not going to hear from anybody else. So I'm sitting there by myself. I just met a woman, Eva Montega. She makes clothes for athletes, okay? And she was sitting at the bar. And I was going to interview her, and then she said she had to go off to do something with somebody. So, okay, fine. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, three brothers come up. They sit down. Turns out one of them is a trainer who was training several of the athletes at the combine. So we were watching the combine on television. All right. Another colleague came up, and then another gentleman who actually worked in a certain capacity for the league. I'll just put it that way. Where I'm worked for the league, okay? And they started openly talking. All right? Openly talking. News clip says, I played in the league for 2.5 years, a white wide receiver, and you're absolutely correct. Yeah, I'm not saying there is a, overall, the environment's heavily interracial. Okay, so I don't mean to imply that there's racism at that level, but there are racially guided expectations regarding who you are. And so me being me, I'm sitting there, and hey, other brothers join me, black men. And so they openly talk about business at a level where I first thought, God, should I be hearing this? And then I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute. They don't care that my badge said media. I wasn't hiding my badge, okay? And they were just talking. And that's how I found out that, among other things, the Atlanta Falcons standout tight end who played with Stanford, Austin Hooper, is actually expected to set the market for tight ends. Not, I repeat, not George Kittle. In fact, there's a scenario that was presented where the Niners may go after Hooper and then pay and keep Kittle. So they'll have two of the top tight ends in the league. And it was during that same conversation I asked about Brady, because I asked about Brady before, and that's where I was told that Brady really just wants to be loved. So here come the Giants as, the latest suitor, right? You think, who next? Who's next? There will be other names that come down the pipe connected with Brady before all this is said and done. Okay. In turn, Brady will be used by other media to generate discussions and everything else. So this churn is going to go on until, and what I think is going to happen happens. I think Brady is just going to stay put. And if he leaves, it will be for a situation where he has control, and he gets a buttload of money. But I can't see him leaving. I talked to Charlie Weiss, who was Brady's coach when Weiss was offensive coordinator. He says Brady's, same thing that a lot of people have said to me, Brady's shopping around, okay? And that he's shopping around, and basically he just, but Weiss says that he thinks the best situation for Brady is to stay with the Patriots. Yeah, and a lot of people have said to me, again, they think that, but they also understand that he just wants to see who loves him, because he's never been in this position before. That's really what it's all about. So it's not certain that he's going to the Raiders or the Chargers or the Colts. The only thing that's certain about this is that he is talking to them to feel the love. That's the one thing that's certain. He's feeling the love, feeling the love, feeling the love. And he's turning these situations to feel more love. That's what it's about. Okay. That's what it's about. Um, there's nothing set in stone with any of this. Someone can come up tomorrow with a brand new proposal and deal. People are talking to each other all the time. And so that's why it was cool to just sit there and quite literally, rather than going to the information, let the information come to you. Or if you're, talking to players, just ask them, hey, who have you been talking to? Or just keep your ears open, and keep your eyes open. That's it. So yeah, it was great. I saw Vinny, who was with the LA Daily News. Always great to see him. He does a great job. I'm glad the Raiders hired him. And they had a little contingent of Vegas people, right? And meanwhile, I was interviewing, let's see, gosh, a number of players. Pat Curran, I've known for a long, long time. He was on Sirius Satellite Radio. Brady Quinn, who I interviewed in 2007 when he was drafted. And I got to interview him again. That was a lot of fun, just to share with him what I had done, and we talked about that everything else. And so Newscliff says, I wanted to get your thoughts on Jake Fromm's horrible combine performance. I don't think Jake, I'll be honest with you, I'm not high on Jake Fromm as a first round pick. I think Jake Fromm is your second round or third round guy who's not, he's not going to wow you statistically. He's not a combine performance guy. He is not a workout warrior per se. He is a leader and a field journal. I don't expect him to be the starting guy that leads you to the playoffs. I expect him to be a journeyman at the NFL level. And look, I could be wrong, okay? Because Jake has this way of sticking around, but in fairness to Justin Fields, who left Georgia, Justin Fields should have replaced him. But Justin went through a situation that was racist. And so he begged to get out. They made it life less than comfortable for Justin. Fact. And Justin went out and balled out at Ohio State. We saw that. Okay. So, Georgia did a good job of elevating Jake Fromm to a point or to a level better than where he's going to be at the NFL. All right, that's just a fact. Georgia has Georgia ever had a starting black quarterback? To my knowledge, I've never seen Georgia. Let's check the internet. That's what it's for here. All right. Let's see. Georgia, a starting black. Georgia ever had starting black QB? And so, yeah, DJ Shockley. How could I forget about DJ? Yeah. DJ Shockley, who's a local hero, became the starting quarterback by a sophomore season at North Clayton High School. And then he was taken by the Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah, DJ Shockley. And, yep, he's now 36 years old, was born March 23rd, 1983 in College Park. And I'm glad I checked, because you don't want to say no, but he was taken in the 7th round by the Atlanta Falcons, and he was the first Georgia player selected by the Falcons since 1994. Which leads to a question: Could the Falcons provide a landing pad for Jake Fromm? And that's quite a possibility, although I think the Falcons need to aim higher in terms of quarterback, okay? They need to think more athletically than Jake presents. He really does. So, but Mark Richt made getting DJ Shockley a priority, and he was Mark Richt's first official recruit there. And so uh, it was, so yeah, so DJ Shockley is, like I say, he's a local hero. He's on a number of news broadcasts, talked about glowingly um, and and lovingly in Georgia. So DJ Shockley. News clip says Matt Ryan is done. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan. Um, Matt Ryan got his deal right at about the time his shortcomings were becoming more prominent in terms of his shortcomings in terms of mobility are the advantage of quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. And he is hampered by an offense that I think far too often was not as creative as it could have been in moving the football. And I think Dan Quinn, there's no criticism to my friend Dan Quinn, who I saw at Harry and Izzy's 2 nights ago, but I think Dan would agree that the offense needed to be more creative. And down the stretch, it was. Look, let's get something out of the way. The Falcons went 7-2 down the stretch. Okay, and much of that was a testament to a changing defensive approach, but also a more varied offensive approach too. Uh, News clip says he is the best receiver in Julio. Hey, and he's got Julio Jones. He's got Calvin, right? He's got Austin Hooper at tight end, who is, like I said, is expected to set the market when he hits free agency very soon. So the Falcons are stacked at receiver. They have a very effective running back core. If the personnel with the Falcons, particularly the wide receiver, is set, okay, they need to think about a replacement for Austin Hooper because they're not going to keep him. They're not going to spend what it takes to keep him. They've told him that. They're going to let him walk. He's going to walk, and he's going to get his truckload of money. So the Falcons need a tight end, and they really need to think about a breakaway running back. And they might be in the right position to make a deal to get DeAndre Swift. And I think getting DeAndre Swift in their backfield would be the fantastic ticket. He gets to stay in Georgia. He goes to the Falcons. A great story automatically right there. He goes behind an offensive line that the Falcons have worked on rebuilding. And all he needs is a great set of trap blocks and edge rush schemes with play action to keep the pressure off him. They'll do just fine. News clip says, do they still have Devonta Freeman? Yeah. Freeman, yes. No, excuse me. They have Coleman. Let me see the running backs core roster just to make sure that, again, with all the changes, I'm not making a mistake, because I would rather I'd rather use the internet the way it's supposed to be used, right? And roster. Here we go. Mount Falcons roster. There we go. And okay, Julio Jones, Devonta Freeman, stuff Freeman. Yep, they did not get rid of him. Ridley, Vic Beasley, they're supposedly going to shop around, which I think is stupid. I really do. And now, because I've seen how they employ Vic Beasley, and they don't put him in one set area, and they have him stand up. And I don't think he's a stand-up guy. I think Vic Beasley is the kind of guy where you have to have him in the ground to get leverage and move up and push out against his blockers. If he doesn't get that opportunity, he's not going to get to the passer as well. He just isn't, okay? But he needs to have that leverage so he can use his legs to push and get guys off of him and then go to the quarterback. But standing up, forget it. No way. Anyway, as far as the Falcons' depth chart is concerned, right now, what we see on offense, we have the running back position is Freeman, Hill, Kenyon Barner, and Quadri Olson. And of course, at quarterback, we have Matt Ryan and Matt Schaub. Uh, and I think Schaub needs to be spelled or challenged. The Falcons have Austin Hooper, Luke Stokler, Jaden Graham at tight end, and Carson Mayer. So there you go. Uh, but so I would say running back, quarterback, and tight end are the Falcons' needs. Yeah, I like Freeman too. But getting back to Tom Brady with the Raiders, I don't. Uh, Newsclip says I didn't know Schaub was still on the league. Yeah, he threw Matt Schaub for over 400 yards against, if I'm not mistaken, the Jaguars last year at Falcon Stadium. So he had an incredible game. He really did. But getting back to Tom Brady and the Raiders, I don't see that happening because it's just like I don't see this whole rumor about the Raiders playing at Sam Boyd Stadium that Tina Kuyan put on Twitter. And let me address that for a second, okay? For those of you who are saying, what? She basically said the Raiders are supposed to play 2 games at Sam Boyd Stadium. Now, who is she? She is a citizen journalist who, for some particular reason, decided to take an interest in the Raiders in the NFL starting late last year. Why? I don't know. With me, it started around the NFL Spring League meeting and, the Fall Owners meeting. And she was in Fort Lauderdale, and I said, why are you there? Because she reached out, she made some statement. I responded back, and to make a long story short, I told her, I said, if you don't have a credential to get in there, you can get arrested. So you probably should just go home. But she felt like she had a right to be there. She is, she has a blog, and I don't know what her day job is, or again, quite where she covers different things. It like I do, but really in a fashion where she may cover a stadium issue once a year. I'm talking about, as opposed to me, where I'm covering multiple of things at the same time. She may be over here writing about something this month, and she may not return to it for another 6 months, right? Such is the case with the Raiders Stadium situation. Anyway, back to Sam Boyd. Look, the Raiders have sold PSLs. You cannot sell a personal seat license to someone who expects you to allow them to sit in their seat for a full season at the new stadium and then turn around and say, well, for 2 games, we want you to play at Sam Boyd Stadium. That's ridiculous, all right? Newsclip says, before you leave, I'm not going anywhere yet. He says, I wanted to get your thoughts on Giannis maybe joining the Warriors. Wow. First I heard of it. If Giannis does join the Warriors, I'm not ready. Well, obviously, I think this year's too far down the pipe to predict any miracles, right? But next year, Giannis with the Warriors would be the equivalent of, with a returning Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry next year, would be the equivalent of scoring the KD hat trick all over again. With one difference though, and the difference is that KD joined a Warrior squad that was intact, healthy, and already a champion. This squad is, at present, not intact, not healthy, and not a champion. Okay? But can he build that squad, or help build that squad to that place? Yeah, I'm fascinated, having just got this from you, to see how Steve Kerr employs him in that offense. So Newscliff said we need to draft Wiseman and get Giannis. Yeah, Wiseman and Giannis would be a huge. That would be earth-shatteringly huge development. I think earth-shatteringly huge. As far as the Raiders, I don't think that by the time the Raiders pick, unless they make a deal to move up to get him, which I don't see them doing, I don't think they're going to get Auburn tackle Derek Brown. Okay, I don't. But the person that I do believe that they'll lay their hands on is, I would be surprised if they passed on Javon Kinlaw. I interviewed him. He said he talked to the Raiders and he during the Senior Bowl, and I think once again before he started to say that. But Javon is a man who's was homeless. There are 2 players there who are homeless. This homeless thing is getting out of control, folks. It really is. All right, and Javon is a beast. And not only that, when you listen to him, as you can hear in Zenny62 on YouTube, the one thing that comes through is that he is ready to wreck. And he's ready to wreck the NFL for his daughter. Okay? And USA Today has a profile on him. But if you type homeless, he was homeless. Think about it. He was homeless. And who else do we know was homeless? Josh Jacobs was homeless, right? And there are others too. What is it about college students being homeless that makes me cry? When we've come to that level, we failed as a society to have people with this immense wealth. And yet, there's someone who's homeless and in college. That doesn't add up for me. I hope it doesn't add up for you. And so the Cleveland.com has a piece. I think it was written by this lady that I happen to be standing behind. No, not her. Okay. But at any rate, it reads, the South Carolina defensive tackle is skipping drills. Yeah, he's skipping drills because he had tendonitis, okay? But he spent much of his childhood homeless. His parents split when he was 5, and they were not able to provide a consistent home for him and his brother. His mother had difficulty finding consistent work, and as a result, they lived into a whole, as it's put, slew of temporary shelters. And they stay in friends and included a 2-month stretch in a basement. And that's why he said and you can hear this in the interview that's posted here at Zenny62 on YouTube, what's he going to do with the money? He said he's going to buy his mom a home, and he's going to take care of his daughter. Same as what Josh Jacobs did. And it reads here, he says when he was older, he spent time living with his father. His address was a motel. And he says Kinlaw sometimes suspected a place his father probably wasn't supposed to be living. Wow. So living with this fear that they're going to be kicked out. That's a reality that has never been part of my life. You know, my mother and my late father owned a 2-flat building at 7427 Wentworth here in Chicago. When they divorced, she was fortunate enough to become one of United Airlines' first black reservation sales agents. So we moved over to 7908B South Kim Bark apartment, and then we moved to Oakland April 8th of 74. But the idea of being homeless is not something that was ever in my head, and it makes me cry to know that we have a society today that is allowing kids to grow up in this situation, and at so often a rate that we see and read and hear about these stories among football prospects going into the National Football League. And that's why it's so important to have developmental football leagues like the XFL or the Indoor Football League, so that at least they can make some, money, livable money, to put a roof over their heads and live someplace. But this is criminal. What our society is doing to those most in need is criminal. News clip says the league was done with me at 25. Did you have a similar story? Um, so anyway, it produced a guy in Mr. Kinlaw who he's ready to get drafted and make a difference. I asked him if Jadeveon Clowney had reached out to him. He hadn't. I was actually quite surprised with that. And news clip says that he was homeless when you were homeless when you lost your parents. I'm sorry. He said he was on the street living in parks in Stockton until you got a truck driving job. In because your parents died. But you didn't have any other relatives to go to? That's maddening. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Like I said, no one should experience that. No one. You had no other relatives. Did they pass away or something, or what happened? Yeah, no one should experience that. Wow. I'm really sorry to read that. Keith Fontenberry says, I think Derek Carr will remain the starting quarterback. Derek Carr needs more offensive weapons around him like the Chiefs. Newscliff says that your other relatives are druggies. Oh. And see, that's the other thing that concerns me about this society. Look, I don't mean to be preachy or moralistic, okay? But I do have an issue with this rampant legalization of all these drugs. And it's not because, look, I'm happy that it means that the incarceration rates for us will or should go down because we've been arrested so many times for possessing something that someone white would possess and not get arrested for, okay? Yes. But the other issue that I have is with all of these paraphernalial drugs, the person has less money to spend to screw up their lives, to get off focus, you know? But see, when you say that, like, let's take the psychedelic drug community. Oh, don't say that because they want to have their power to take their psycho drugs. Why? Who is it benefiting to know that somebody is out there a little tweaked because of some substance they were confusing? News clip says after he got out of the league, you were a park alcoholic, man. See? So, yeah. So, the nasty scenario says, okay, you have less money to spend, right? Family's not available to you. You're isolated because of internet technology. Your prospects for getting a well-paying job are fleeting because maybe you're not in the right area of the country or in the right part of the world. Okay? So all this comes together and it spells being homeless. And yet we know how to get ourselves as a society out of that situation. We have the money to spend. And I'm not talking about taxing people. The government could decide to spend that money tomorrow. And if this coronavirus goes the way I think it's going to go, you could very well wind up seeing Bernie Sanders as the next president, because we need to talk about spending money in this economy. It's not, someone says, socialism. Most people don't even know what socialism is. What Bernie Sanders will do is he is unafraid to marshal public spending. And we need that right now. We need that. Okay, I'm going too far off the football track. Let me come back because I want to talk football. I love talking football. Okay. Um, these are, uh, Tom makes a comment here I want to get. He says, I really think the Raiders search for another starting quarterback. I see no love for Derek Carr. Um, I think that the Raiders in reality are looking to reshape. They're looking to get better defensively. I don't think they're going to part ways with Derek Carr. I think they're making noise that they may be interested to keep the focus off of what they're really interested in because they don't. The Raiders historically have never been an organization that tells you exactly what they're going to do. So I don't expect the Raiders as an organization to turn around and suddenly change. That's why, that, and you think about it. You, those Gruden videos are maybe going to net them $40 in ad revenue. Okay, I'm back. As I was saying, I don't believe, so technical things here, I do not believe that, like I was saying, the Raiders like to throw up a smokescreen. And I don't believe that they're going to let this incredibly talented crop of defensive tackles leave without picking off some of the higher fruit on the vine. Okay, that's not going to happen. Um, and as I was saying before, the Raiders are notorious. Also, as far as Derek Carr, they're using Derek Carr as a smokescreen for their true intentions. Okay. I mean, I believe Gruden when he says that Carr is not going anyplace. But I think they're more interested in developing a top flight defense because they went offense already a lot. Just look at what Gruden did last year with respect to offensive talent. Like, sure, um, Clemson defensive end was their first pick, but they got him more as a leader. I don't think that uh, Quentin was brought in to be that high impact guy. I think he was brought in to be a guy that you cement in place. He establishes your team's culture for the future. That's what Mayock says he wanted, and that's pretty much the way it's turned out. But now they need a baller. They need an interior person who can create havoc, who can play, who's a single gap guy, the kind of guy that Rod Marinelli likes and Paul Gunther prizes, who can cause damage to the middle of the offensive line. And I would be shocked if they didn't try to get Javon. They better try to get Javon. He would be an outstanding addition to the Raiders. Now, as far as developing an offense that's entertaining in Las Vegas, you can do that through scheme. Flea flickers, double reverses, a number of trick plays the Raiders have ran under Gruden already, right? You can bring all of those packages to Las Vegas and do quite well. But the Raiders want to build a champion. And as Mayock said himself, their defense last year just wasn't very good. So don't even think the Raiders' real first priority isn't defense, because it is. It is. It doesn't mean that they won't try to get an offensive player to help make a difference, But look, they're going to be taking more than a casual eye at the defensive tackles and defensive backs. You can bet. And they need defensive backfield help. They really, really do. They really, really do. I'm trying to figure out where to position this because I had, let me show you what happened here. I lost power. I had this set up. I was using this this device, right? See that port? But it doesn't really plug in well to get power to the phone. And so how do I say it? The outgo of power was greater than the ingo. And so what happens when that occurs? You casually slide to what happened? 0. Let me get to the rest of your conversation. So right now, this is where I'm at. I'm reading your comments here, okay? News Clips has provided a lot. He says he really thinks the Raiders search for another QB. And see, this is where I disagree with Tom Kohler. Nice to see you, though, Tom, okay? And the News Clips was sharing their story about being on the street, which is very, very sad, very sad. News Clip says we need to get Wiseman and get Giannis as well. All right. Hold on one second. I just want to, got my water there, as you can see. Hold on. And what I want to do, try to set this up so that I can ball better here. Let's see what this does. Maybe this can do. Maybe that can. That's not quite it either, but maybe that might work. No, that doesn't seem like it's working quite well either. Trying to figure, there we are. That is a kind of interesting, iffy angle that might be effective. So we'll give it a whirl. Okay, fine. All right. So, welcome back, folks. If you're just joining me, I'll repeat what I said at the outset for those who did. Oh, let me take one more administrative matter. Give me 1 second. Hold on a second. Oh, see, just as I did that, I knew that was going to happen. Just the wind. Just the wind. Hold on a second. Okay, I am back. So, interesting response by Doug Davis. Doug Davis writes, all this Carr replacement talk is not only silly but self-destructive. Well, I don't know that it's self-destructive. Explain how that's self-destructive. In what sense? I'd like to know your thoughts there. I see it as a smokescreen. Okay. However, why can't let's take this from another perspective. The Raiders need a young mobile quarterback. Why not Mr. Love? Okay. Now, would I expect Mr. Love to start immediately? No. They can get him on the second round. Okay. But I don't see, I see the Raiders getting a quarterback, but I don't see the Raiders going high. All right. Michael says, what team do you think Tom Brady was signed with? The New England Patriots. Michael, you just joined us, and I said at the outset that Tom Brady, I was told by a league source, actually a couple of these sources, really, because there was 6 different people, 6 people I was in a group with. So more than one league source, because even though they all work with the league in different capacities. So, all right. Tom Brady he wants to be loved. So he's taking on I'm going to call it the love tour. This is Tom Brady's love tour. But ultimately, he'll stay with the Patriots. I mean, something would have to be catastrophically bad for him to just want to walk away from the life that he's built there. And, his kids, he's got kids that are firmly ensconced in life as they've structured it by now. I mean, what compelling reason would there be to leave? You know, there would have to be something really rich. And I'm not saying that couldn't happen. It could. But what I'm being told, I'm going with what I'm told by people who are are deep in this, that Tom wants to just feel the love. So when they say he's entertaining offers, what it is he has never been a free agent before, and he just wants to see what people are willing to, how much they're willing to love him. It's all about love, man. I love Tom Brady. Wants to see who loves him. He wants to see if they're willing to show him the money and then go back to the Patriots. He can go back to the Patriots, okay? Because this is the other side of the coin. Tom calls us, what is about the lease extension with the Raiders at Oakland? It's still there. And as I understand it, the Raiders have not given the white flag and said, hey, we're leaving. Meanwhile, we're coming down to clock ticking. Come March 1st, it'll be 30 days and counting, right? So we'll just have to wait and see. That's where we are. Wait, see, and listen. Wait, see, and listen. I think the stadium still has a lot of hairs on it. It's got some money issues. Um, I've always said it's not going to be ready until late September or mid October. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders are trying. It won't surprise me if the Raiders, even though the city and the county has said they don't want a partial season, it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders tried to negotiate for one. Maybe even play a premium to get one. All right. Michael says, I have so much love for Carr, but I also really want to see a new starting QB soon. Why? Doug Davis says, our Super Bowl window will be opening in 2021. We aren't going to train a quarterback in Gruden's offense without blowing up this opportunity. With this, what lose? I don't understand this one. Let me read this. Okay. Doug says, all right, our Super Bowl window will open in 2021. We aren't going to train a QB in Gruden's offense. See, I don't understand this. Won't blow up. What is that? So you're saying losing franchises train QBs? Like, well, Joe Montana was trained by Bill Walsh. So there are a number of examples where if this is what you meant to say, that's not true. But I'm having a hard time believing what I'm reading because it seems like the wording's screwed up there. You know what I mean? Maybe it's an autocorrect problem. Doug, you want to help me with that? Help me help you? You know what I mean? What did you mean there? So anyway, let us know. Trying to find out how to stand this the right way. Hold on a second. Maybe I can stand it over here. Is that going to move? Maybe. Hold on a second. I'm trying to make the right situation here. And I may have found it. Yeah. So anyway, let me know what that's supposed to look like, Doug, because I don't know. All right. This feels like the Star Trek captain's chair position. You can have Kirk like this, right? Under Kirk. Not, you never saw Picard like this. But the captain's chair for Kirk was like this angle, right? Hailing frequencies open. Sulu, warp factor 6. Anyway. Let me finish telling you about my trip. Uh, and Michael says, "Will the stadium be ready before the end of next season?" Oh yeah, it'll be ready before the end of next season. That much I am certain of that. They're on the trajectory that the real schedule said they're going to be on. Okay. Doug Davis says, our team is designed for the next 2 to 4 years. Oh, I get what you're saying. I don't know. You know, I believe that the Raiders are the right scheme fit away from a Super Bowl. Let me say this another way. The Raiders have the offensive talent to win right now. Okay? They have the offensive talent to win right now. They are, I think the Raiders are due a top flight defensive tackle. Somebody on the caliber, somebody on the level of Warren Sapp. And I thought maybe somebody like Eddie Vanderders was going to be that person. He didn't pan out. But I believe the Raiders have a shot to get that kind of player this time around. And if they don't get that, let me put it this way: if the Raiders don't come away with a top flight defensive tackle from this draft, as far as I'm concerned, the draft is a failure. Um, they've got to come away with one. Okay. Now they can make up for it. They get Judy from Alabama. Okay, fine, right? But that's great for the offense. But they need to stop people, and they need to stop people, and they need somebody have somebody, a lot of somebodies in the middle who are nasty. So they should get Javon Kirwan, bring him in, and then for linebacking in the middle, they need to get Evan Weaver from Cal, the homeboy, Berkeley guy, the creator of so many defensive superlatives during his time with the Golden Bears. It's literally not funny. Plus, I had the I had the pleasure of interviewing him twice, talking to him a bunch of times while I was at the combine. You can see my interview with him here at Zenny62 on YouTube. But I think let's talk beyond the Raiders, okay? Let's talk other teams. Like, let's pick a team. Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals, having went heavy for wide receiver last year, need to go heavy for defensive back. And they need in linebacker. They have, I think they could really use a speed tight end who's a great blocker down at the goal line. And that allows them to play in their two tight end sets. Now, the Niners, I was told that the Niners are going to, first of all, that Austin Hooper is going to set the market for tight ends coming out of the Falcons. And there is a possibility that the Niners make a deal to bring Austin Hooper onto the 49ers to join George Kittle and make the best active tight end tandem in the National Football League. Okay. Some people say that George Kittle will set the market, but I was told last night, nope, it's Austin Hooper who is expected to set the market. Now, as far as the Niners' needs, look, they clearly need a defensive back like a Riggs, a fast guy who can a swift ball hawking, a fast as hell ball hawking playmaker on defense. Because it's clear that they have, with D Ford and the linebacking core, great players in that area. It's also clear they need depth at that position. And it's clear they need depth at the defensive line position, but they need to draft that plug and play defensive back. A swift ball hawking, plug and play defensive back. They really need that. The 49ers have proven on offense that they can have a bunch of nobodies at running back and be very effective. But the question is, who will be around for them to take that will make a difference? And frankly speaking, and this is the conversation last night, I'm telling you what the 49ers are thinking now. The 49ers are thinking that by the time they get to pick, they got to go with best athlete available. Okay, that's where they're at. Doug Davis says Green Bay plans on making a strong run at Hooper too. They really need one they need one. There are a number of teams that, like I said, Hooper is going to set the market wherever he goes. But the Niners are going to be in play for him. Because you have to remember, George Kittle, here's the Niners' other problem, okay, regarding George Kittle. He plays with a reckless abandon, and he can't help it. It's his style. It's that WWE, I will maul you approach, right? But it has a problem. The problem is that the 49ers he's got to go into surgery. So the 49ers are wondering, hey, are we one more enthusiastic play away from losing this guy for quite a while? That's what's going through the 49ers' head. So they have to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, Austin Hooper made a concerted effort based on a focused decision to become a better blocker after his Super Bowl performance. And by all accounts from league sources, Hooper has become that guy. That better player that you want on your team who's going to make your team better. Stanford guy. Okay. So this is going to be, free agent is going to be exciting. Jameis Winston, I would love to see him stay with the Bucs, and I think it's a shame that the Buccaneers are treating him the way that they are, and you have to ask the question, would they treat him that way if he were not black? Okay, I'm going to really talk to you all right? I was trying to hold back on some things, but I'm not going to hold back anymore, all right? Look, the NFL has a really great interracial society club, okay? But within it, it is top-heavy with white executives, bottom-heavy with black players. But in between, you have people who represent, for example, the data people. They tend to be all white, which is weird because you have black folks who understand data, all right? I went to the big data conference, and the guy that won, Matt Plonsky, is from Harvard. But I have to be candid with you folks. What he created, you can't really explain, and he really didn't explain well, I'm just being honest, how to actually use it, okay? Whereas the people that I thought should have won, one guy had this great open source code set I'm going to get. I think he's from the University of Virginia, and where you can determine which offensive lineman is basically throwing the best blocks for the money. Yeah, this fellow has figured out a way to estimate the dollar value of an offensive lineman's blocking capability. Did you hear what I said? He had a list of the values of the linemen. It was incredible. I interviewed him. It's right here on Zenny 62. I thought he was going to win. And what happened was, in the middle of our interview, the winner was announced, and the poor fellow, I mean, he took it like a champ, but I thought he was going to cry. He expected to win. Doug says, that's exactly what I mean. Losing organizations always have front office and quarterback controversies. That being said, he did throw 30 interceptions. Well, but look, Carson, but Jameis was the first year in Bruce Arians' system. And the system is not quarterback friendly. You want proof? Look at what Carson Palmer did in his first year with Arians systems. He threw 22 interceptions, and okay, 22 interceptions. He lowered that to 12 the next year. Keith says, what do you think the Seahawks and the Saints need to do to keep up with the 49ers? I'm not a 49ers fan. Well, I think the Saints need a linebacker who can really rush the passer effectively. They are lacking in a guy who can really make a difference. Like I interviewed this fellow from Minnesota, Cameron. Cameron's name just slipped my mind. Here at Zenny62 on YouTube. Let me get his name, and he's definitely impact linebacker. And let me hold on a second here. Definitely an impact linebacker. Um, I think the Saints really need that kind of player that you can set him on the edge, and you know that teams are going to have to put two, three folks, right, to stop him. Okay, and hold on a second, I'll get your comment there. What I'm looking up right now is trying to find that Cameron fellow here. Hold on a second. There it is. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, hold on a second. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Cool. All right. Scroll down. Oh, come on. I'm trying to get rid of that thing. Oh. All right. Let's try again. Okay. Yeah, he is. Where is he? He was at his own table. Carter Coughlin. That's the guy. Carter Coughlin. This guy. Let me show you. Carter Coughlin. Okay. So you can, that's Mr. Coughlin right there. And he was at the table there. And
if you could boil your college career down to one play, 15 seconds a game,
listen to this. Listen to this. He was saying that he could boil down. He was saying that he could boil down his one play of this strip sack, and I asked him right here. Let's see, here. As well. Now watch this.
I've always taken pride in being a really, really tough player. So on top of that, I'm going to be able to show teams.
What kind of a move is your favorite move to use?
Post chop's my favorite. So get him to shoot his hands, stab him on inside hand, and then chop his hands down and get around the court.
That sounds like it hurts.
Huh?
That sounds like it hurts.
Nah, it doesn't hurt, man. It's all fluid motion. You gotta get a hang of it. You gotta get the feel for it. It's a great move.
But listen to this guy. That's the kind of guy. You asked me who the Saints should get. That kind of guy. He's an edge guy. He's an edge rushing linebacker. That's the kind of guy that'll make a huge difference for the Saints against the Niners and the Seahawks as well. So I would really pick up on him. Plus, he's got this great attitude. I mean, he seems like he's really chill, right? But he approaches his game with the eye of a technician and the heart of a warrior. And that's what you want to have on a defense. So I would definitely, I definitely, if I were the Saints or the Seahawks, Carter Coughlin, Minnesota, this is the guy I think that they should really go after. And I'm not taking away people I didn't get a chance to interview, and I'll have more extensive look at that. I want to see how the linebackers do. But among the people that I had a chance to really get in depth and meet, right? Uh, he's one. Yeah, he's definitely one. Let me get back to your comments. Plus, I want you to get a feel for who I've talked to. Keith, yeah, that was for you, Keith Fortenberry, right? And then Doug Davis, he says, "Thank you for making my point about Carr. How many new coordinators has Carr had?" Okay, well, let's go through this. Let me see. Okay, he started out. He had when he came in, his first coordinator. We had Bill Musgrave because Del Rio came in, and then Carr came in 2014. So he was at the tail end of trying to think of the coordinator before Musgrave, because they had Jack Del Rio, and prior to Del Rio, there was it's not what's wrong with my memory. There was Del Rio, Gruden. Who was before that? So they had Hugh Jackson for a year. That was 2000 what? 2011, 12. Then was it Dennis Allen? Dennis Allen. Yeah, Dennis Allen. And then Dennis Allen gave way to Jack Del Rio, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm trying to remember who. And Olson was with Allen and then came back under Gruden. Right. So in between those was Musgrave. Then we had Todd Downing. Then we had Olson. So Carr has had 3 offensive coordinators. Well, technically 4. 4 offensive coordinators over his time. Really, you only want 1. Okay. And he's had 3 systems he's had to work with. All right. So I want to make sure that I've got something down here correctly. So I don't speak. I'm speaking like a man who needs sleep because I've been head coach. Hold on a second. Been getting up early in the morning. That's the other thing about the combine. The combine will make you. It'll make you want to. It'll make you get up early in the morning a lot. Let's put it that way. Okay. We had, Tony Sperano, Dennis Allen, the late Dennis Allen, then the late Tony Sperano for a year. Forgot about he was interim, and then Jack Del Rio and Gruden. So you had Hugh Jackson, who was fired by Davis. Then Dennis Allen was brought in by the brain trust of Mark Davis and Reggie McKenzie. Tony Sperano for a year, who's passed away sadly. Then Jack Del Rio, and then John Gruden. All right. And so through all that, we only had one who's taken us to the playoffs. Last time we were there was Callahan. That was AFC champion, right? And then Del Rio. And under Gruden, we haven't had that yet. Okay. So if you're keeping score from Derek Carr's perspective, he came in here. So you had Allen, Sperano. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches. And he had more offensive coordinators. He had 5 offensive coordinators. Yeah. Well, actually, 5 offensive coordinators. So different thoughts, different systems. in just a few short years, from 2012 to now, in 8 years, he has had, 2014 to now, in 6 years, he has had one, two, three, four offense. He has had four coaches in 6 years, 2014 to 2020. Let me repeat that. He's had Dennis Allen, Sperano, Del Rio, and Gruden. I'll make your head spin, man. So to have Carr in that situation, right? And then to want to throw out this idea that you're going to get rid of him all of a sudden, like it's his fault you had all of this change. No, that's wrong. And not only that, it's not. It's this whole shiny object mentality that the Raiders have under Mark Davis as the owner. The next best thing is around the corner, right? Doug Davis says in 5 seasons. Yeah, 5 seasons. 5 seasons. Yeah. Had almost a coach for every season. If you want to get really technical, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.2 coaches every season, right? What do you do with that 2/10 of a coach? Wow. I mean, wow. So again, to recap, Tom Brady is being loved by the league. Loved by the league. So everybody is talking with him. He's talking to everybody. He just wants to see who loves him. It does not mean he's leaving the Patriots. Okay? Doug Davis says, so why are we losing? We're losing because we don't have a great defense to stop people. Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And our focus has not been on developing a top flight defense. Okay. Now the defense has gotten better under Gunther in some key areas, but in terms of its leaky, annoying habit of giving up the big play, that is very troublesome. Part of that is a lack of speed at defensive back. Part of it's also injuries to a lot of our guys. Remember, a lot of our guys got injured last year. Okay. So we need depth, but also we need to play more aggressive schemes that better assure the sacking of the quarterback as opposed to the sucking of the defense, right? What I was going to say as far as culture. All right. I went to the National Black Journalism Dinner. Thank you to Clarence Hill of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram for inviting me. And it was sponsored by Steve Jefferson. I say sponsored, but that's not quite true because we all had to pick up our own tab. It would be great if somebody walked through one of these and picked up our tab. Maybe I will next year. But it was as interesting as it was disheartening because sports journalism is under attack by technologies that are taking their jobs away. That said, there are a number of African Americans in the room who had gotten great positions with the NFL Network or Yahoo Sports and others. But those web jobs in particular are going to go like that. I own my own company. And it's finally a true Delaware company. We're profitable. We have clients out of the gate. And more better coming. But to consistently hear us talk about being the only black person in the room or being the only black person covering the league And then to be in a situation where I'm at the JW Marriott, I'm sitting down and I'm joined by black folks who work in different capacities in the league. And then to get all this information, right, means that there's a key advantage to having blacks in journalism, in media. I don't call myself a journalist. I'm a blogger and a vlogger. I am not a journalist. But what I was trying to encourage the group to do is start your own platforms. And what I find a bit troublesome is that, and I understand why this is, we just want to be hired by the white guy that we think has money. And that mentality, I think, causes us as black folks to disrespect each other more than we should, because the talent is within us to succeed. Okay. And if we band together, we can make the next great corporation. Morgan DeBaum was doing that. She has Blavity and Afrotech. And what I'm doing is I'm not building an organization that is producing a black thing, right? I'm building an organization that is producing a media approach, a unique, high-tech media approach. I am focused on creating a disruptive company. But my friends in the room, they're getting together and they're are trying to band together, and that was a great meeting to do that, and I think we're off to an awesome start. But my concern is that we don't really see our value or talent, and we're too often thinking ourselves as at the outside rather than at the center, right? That's what bothered me the most. People coming up and it was a little weird. It was interesting because we're being served by a white staff. That was not lost on me. Okay, and I mean, they were subjected to some of the most militant stuff they probably ever heard. Don't go on those white folks. And I'm thinking, oh man, like, seriously, okay. And I understood, but the emotion was raw because the vast majority of media that covers the NFL is white, and even among the women who talk about lack of opportunities for women or wanting to be better seen, the vast majority of those women are white, and they don't say, hey, you know what? We have a problem with our black brothers and sisters, and we should band together, right? Um, Otherwise, I think that would happen a long time ago. But there is a weird racial divide between a majority white media and a majority black NFL, and it's to the point where, to me, the big advantage is in having a black NFL blogger or vlogger or reporter or writer in the room who a black player, a black coach, a black trainer, a black PR person just gravitates toward because there's so few of us, right? And what happens is that person gets a lot of information that I would bet you their white counterpart doesn't get as much. Now, it's sad that we have to describe society that way at this stage of our existence. This is 2020. And you would think, I'm 58, we would have gotten over it by now. But when I hear talk like that, it means that we haven't. What I want to hear are black success stories. I want to hear about the millionaire that created the media company, or the person that created the media company and became a millionaire, like Morgan DeBaum, right? We need more of those. Um, because out of that, let me put it this way: the more of us that are involved, the better it is for you, regardless of color, because you get better information. All the Vegas folks are white, save for I think one person. It's one black guy that I noticed. I don't know who he is. was glad to see he was there. And I would say that for the most part, there's understanding the need to diversify, but it still doesn't happen. Okay. And Doug Davis says, I don't understand. ESPN network is all women and ex-black athletes. Yeah, my mom points out the same thing. It's if a person gets a job, that person tends to be, and they're black, they tend to be an athlete, as opposed to someone who's like me, who has an urban planning background, who kind of wandered into this and built his own systems. Right? I am the rarity. I should not be, but I am. And then think about those folks who are black who have journalism backgrounds who don't get the chances. And then now they're trying to get the chances, and these jobs are being lopped off left and right. I'm going to say something to you. If you're watching this and you're a classically trained journalist, learn to love being a social media influencer and build your own platforms. Here's the other thing that I saw that I found really bothersome. Can you guess what most other reporters at the combine spend their time doing? Can you guess? I mean, I'm talking about in terms of their jobs and their activities. Can you guess? I'll tell you. It's posting on Twitter. Now, do they own Twitter? No. Is their performance graded by number of tweets? I don't think so. And if it were, what a stupid performance measure. Basically, you're grading a journalist by how many items of content the journalist gives that Jack Dorsey, as opposed to how many times that person makes entry on their own blogs or their own YouTube channels. And I say this because as a YouTube partner, I make money for my videos. But Twitter does not pay me to tweet. Twitter doesn't pay anybody to tweet. So you have people there, they find out something, and rather than go to their own video or their own blog, they put it on Jack's site, thinking that it's theirs. That is the ultimate example of why so many journalists are getting laid off. You hear what I'm saying? I mean, you have news organizations that are stupid enough to pay thousands of dollars to send reporters to remote places to cover the NFL, and they spend most of their time giving their content, their monetizable content, to another guy, Jack Dorsey, and his public company, Twitter. Does that make sense to you? I'm just asking, does that make sense to you? See, I've got this, right? I only have this, right? And look at this. I got this, and then I've got Oakland. I've got my main blog here. That's Zenny62, right? I've got Oakland News Now, right here. I have 98 blogs, okay? If I make a YouTube video, where does it go? It goes to my blog here, okay? Automatically, you just go to them. I have automatically, all right? So, point that I'm in, automatically. It gets distributed automatically and within seconds. And it's mine. Mine. I even have my own social network that I'm restarting with using Peepso, my Facebook alternative, okay? With my stream, okay? I've got my profile here. If I click on that, okay? There. And then there's, ta-da, see that? Okay. Then I've got my posts. So show my posts, okay? There. Well, actually, there's some posts that should be found because if you click on blog, there. See that? There are my posts. I bet that's going to come through. They're just that one. See all of my posts, right? Installed it myself. Okay? So my point is, build your own private Idaho. This has ads on it. Build your own private Idaho. And then I have clients like Insight Thermal Solutions and Marietta Kaplan and working on getting more clients and investors. But it's mine. Okay? And then I have bloggers and I pay them to post. Not a lot, but as we get money, hey, sometimes it is substantial, and it's the equivalent on a per hour basis of a pretty good full-time job. So, hey, I'm really proud of what I built. But I would never send, read your comments here. Doug Davis says, I have degrees in broadcast journalism and sales and marketing. You are right. Most of those on TV don't tell me anything I don't already know, except Tony Romo is an ex-player. And Doug Davis says, broadcasting is an extremely tough career unless you're a woman or ex-athlete. I think the way it's done currently makes it tough. It can be fun if you have the right tech to use, like live streams like this. I'm doing this with my smartphone. But seeing some of these folks carry around, maybe I can find some examples here. Hold on, of what I'm talking about from the combine. But because I thought what I saw was, in a number of cases, just horrifying. Trying to see if I have a video that gives you a full view of what I saw. What I saw on the front, right? Let's see here. I'll click play all. I'm not gonna play them all. Nope, that one.
Hey everybody.
That one.
Hey everybody, back
So
from the.
I've got this one.
Hey everybody, you know by now that Tony Romo managed to score a $17 million
here is
contract to be what he has been.
Let's see here.
The analyst, not the play-by-play guy, but the analyst.
Yeah, here's Clarence Hill.
CBS
Let me take a look at this one. This is Clarence Hill, right?
Dean of sports writers in Texas.
All right.
Dallas, DFW, the whole state, man. I'm giving him the whole state. He doesn't.
All right, look at this equipment back. All these cameras, right? Operated by single people. And they just sit there. Now, those cameras I do with this smartphone what they do with it, but I do more because I can use this smartphone. It automatically feeds to my blog platforms, right? Okay. So, that anybody with the appropriate smartphone can be a Zenny 62 vlogger. This is all you need. You don't need that heavy equipment. So I'm advancing media tech with this approach. I sending these people out carrying what I saw them carry. I just like, God, no wonder what the way that they do things is on the chopping block. Oh, it's horrible. We've streamlined the process. We've improved the approach, folks. We really have. All right. So there you go. We really have. Now back to the combine. And you would say, which is the players did I like the best? The one? Boy. It was definitely Kinlaw. And I've got that interview here. What does it take to get credentials to wow, it's not easy. You have to be on the press list already. I've been on the NFL press list since 2005. Okay. And once you're at the combine, you're automatically invited to join the Pro Football Writers of America. Okay. This is my second combine. So you already have to be on the NFL press list. If you work with me, because I know Melissa Rubin has a Zenny62 media account. She's been a long time blogger with me. She hasn't blogged in some time, but that's, she can come back. She can come and go as she pleases. Keith Dubkowski was on my site. Keith now works for the NFL. He went from me to work, I believe, for Fox for some years, and now he's with NFL Media. So those are two people. And then Anya Krotz is my other friend who now works at Adobe, and she still has an account. So if anyone were with Zenny62 Media, you would, I would work with you to get the right NFL experience, and then, put you in the places where you want to go, because that's how I got Anya and Keith into the Raider headquarters back in 2004 and 2005 to cover the draft of the Raider headquarters. In 2005, I went to New York for the first time, and I never stopped going. And still, I started moving it around, right? I only missed one NFL draft as a press person. That was Dallas so far during my tenure, right? But all under Zenny62 Media. So the way you get there is you have to, and in my case, how I got there, I formed the bid to try to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland. The city of Oakland did not treat me right. In front of the league. And the league was very well aware of the fact that I had, as the Oakland Tribune had said, I single-handedly built the Super Bowl bid process from scratch on paper. At the end of it all, when Jacksonville was being announced as the winner of the right to host the 2005 Super Bowl, Joe Brown said to me, Zenny, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. And I took that as an open invitation. I didn't ask for a job with the league. I wanted to come in. I wanted to cover the NFL draft. I wanted to cover it from a tech perspective. What I mean by that is use the latest in technology and then advance the state of the art of media tech to cover the NFL draft. And that's what I've done. First to do it with a YouTube channel in 2006. First to do it with Ustream in 2007. I have made more YouTube videos at the NFL draft than any other single person or media outlet in history. Okay? Now, the combine I didn't go to as much because, I didn't see the value in it. I see the value in it now. It's grown. But I see the value in it from a perspective of of the player as a media focus to produce monetizable content. That focus is now more valuable than ever, particularly monetizable video content, okay? That's the other thing that hurts, is to see these reporters, to see they're writing their hearts out. And yet at the end of the day, what they write doesn't in truth pay effectively enough to run a media company as a going concern. And that's why you have so many companies going, whap. It's an unfortunate fact. Okay. All right. So back to as far as prospects here. Going down to try to figure out, let's see what I've got there, 21.
Hey everyone, I'm at the NFL Big Data Bowl.
This is the Big Data Bowl I went to.
A number of the takes on a data set that they were provided by the National Football League, and here are some of the people who participated in this contest. And let's go. I'm with Kyle Briganti of Colgate, and he's going to talk about controlling field keys to successful runs at the Big Data conference here at NFL Combine. What you got going? Hi, yeah.
Hey, how are you?
So the work I did, the NFL told us to open a competition to college students and said, produce some sort of report about running backs.
Yeah.
They gave us this really interesting data set with tracking of all the players in the field at the moment of the handoff for 23,000 running plays. So you get every player's position, movement, direction, motion at that sort of snapshot. So in my work, what I did was I used all that information to calculate for each one in the field, how much control does the offense have at that point? How much control does the defense have at that point? And who has the overall most control? We're going to use that information to calculate, to figure out, all right, so how can you differentiate successful plays and unsuccessful plays based on that? And what we find is that successful plays have much higher control over specific points on the line of scrimmage than unsuccessful ones. So the conclusion is it's not necessarily important for you to control the whole line of scrimmage. It's important for you to control the specific point where the runner is going to. And that's what the main conclusion I had.
How did you determine, let me ask, because some plays have misdirection, right?
Absolutely.
And others are just pure power. Did you were able to control for that? Or?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's based on the fact that we only have a snapshot. It's difficult to evaluate how plays can unfold over the entire course of it, right? So if there's that misdirection, it's hard to capture that. One of the sort of assumptions I have to make in this work is that the running back's going to move in the same direction he's moving. Right? That could be different. But that doesn't necessarily undermine the overall conclusion, because the idea is what the question I'm asking is consistently over 23,000 plays, what gives you the best results? And that's controlling that one spot, right? So that's not to say that players like Le'Veon Bell, can't find success. They can, but sort of speaking on a consistency level across huge amounts of data.
Or, to follow up, take it another way, if you were able to design a play with misdirection to assure that a particular point of attack,
Yes, absolutely.
right, was able to be open,
Yeah.
then that would be demonstrating your theory. It was putting engineering to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you design the play such that when the running back's eventual, if the running back's eventual place is going to be open, then if the misdirection play works, it's great.
Well, you get the idea because that's a longer conversation. But if you want to read, if you want to see the whole video, it's the title is Harvard's Matt Plonsky wins NFL Big Data Bowl NFL Combine, and that's not Matt Plonsky. And I'm sorry for getting his nose in that position. Yeah, sorry, stuff happens. But here's another talk that I had. This is with a man I met in 2006, Charlie Weiss.
Thoughts on Tom Brady possibly leaving the Patriots and his legacy?
Well, I personally hope that he ends up staying with the Patriots. But the fact that he's a free agent, at this time, it opens the door that it actually could happen. He can end up being somewhere else. So I think, right now, at this point, he's not talking. So everything you've heard is pure rumor mill. So I think that everyone should just let the dust settle. And I think whatever's going to happen will happen quickly. It'll be either back with the Patriots quickly or in some of the plays, but it'll happen quickly.
What would you like to see him do?
Well, I personally would like for him to retire a Patriot.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care.
Yeah, that was Charlie Weiss. So you hear him say he wants to retire as a Patriot, right? And this was Pat Kerwin talking about.
15 years ago, this man helped me open and become the first person ever to cover the NFL draft with a YouTube channel. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pat Kerwin.
If I hang around long enough, we'll cover everything that ever happened.
Damn
in football.
right. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Quarterbacks, your thoughts?
Well, I've interviewed all of them. I've watched them. I saw Herbert at the Senior Bowl. I think that guy is terrific. I've interviewed Joe Burrow multiple times now. Joe has the whole package. So he's a first-day starter. I think Herbert could be a first-day starter. And now that I hear all the good news about Tua physically, look, I had a player who had that injury, the hip. We had to wait a year. His name was Marvin Jones.
I remember that. Right.
Marvin had that.
Right.
We had to wait a year before they knew if the blood flow was back in that hip joint. Because if it doesn't come back, you get the Bo Jackson problem. So that they're already saying that it looks like the blood flow is back. That means there's 3 quarterbacks that are going to go in the top 6 or 7 picks. And I think all 3 of them can get on the field as rookies. Not that I think they're going to all do well because it's hard.
Right.
But I do think that those 3. So you get past those 3, and now you're trying to put a quarterback on your roster that might be the future down the road. some guys like the Love kid, Utah State. I think the kid Eason is another one that I think is going to be intriguing to some guys. And there was a kid at Washington that we had down at the Senior Bowl that was played 1 year of college football. He came after Minshew.
Right.
Coleman's the guy.
Well, he came into the Senior Bowl and kind of nondescript, just there, got into the game, and you see why he threw for 5,000 yards. So I do think there'll be 2 or 3 guys that you'd take in the second or third round that could potentially be a Minshew kind of guy, come off the bench and help you. But more importantly, someone you can work with and develop. But hey, that makes it a good year for quarterbacks if there's 3 going and I think can play right away.
I remember in 2006, you and I had this awesome discussion about Vince Young and what we now call the read option
Yeah.
and its viability in the league.
Yeah.
Now, 16 years later, it seems like where are we? We have like a mosh pit of different schemes and different quarterbacks.
Well,
Is that, how do we think?
I think a couple things on this. Now, the talent pool for the NFL is college football, so you've got to take guys that are doing what they're doing. So 10 years ago, everyone was struggling with, if I take this kid running RPOs, can he play pro football? Well, that's changed. Now, if you're taking them to run the college offense in the RPO system. I say this to every GM that brings this subject up to me. I go, look, unless you start treating this position like a running back and have 3 of them, you are going to make a mistake. You have to have a second and a third guy that can run this, because if your guy, let's take Lamar.
Yeah,
if Lamar
exactly.
breaks down and your guy behind him is a stand-up pocket passer, your whole offense is going to be different. Your receivers aren't going to run the same routes.
Right.
Your line's not blocking the same way. Everything changes, so you got to have 3 of them.
Right.
And I think the guys that are going down that road are all starting to think that way. So the pool of talent coming out that can do it is there, and don't be afraid. But if you think you're going to do it with one, you're nuts.
We can talk forever. Great to see you, my man.
Good to see you.
Got it, cool. All right.
Yeah, so Pat and I had this long conversation. This is another guy. It's going to be a ball. This is he is with Syracuse, so a line guy, and I'm telling you, Kendall Coleman, he is going to be a force, edge rusher. Anyway, but Pat and I were talking about Vince Young because at the time he didn't think the Vince Young style of offense could succeed in the NFL, and I vehemently disagreed. And I didn't want to say it on video, but I won the argument. We were Friday night, Super Bowl in Detroit. It's just snowing like nobody's business outside. Parties going on. And here's Kerwin and I arguing in the lobby. Great argument, though. I mean, not just literally like one of these technical arguments, like here's this scenario, here's this, da 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 da. I mean, it was really cool. But I won. Time has proven that what I told him, I said that you cannot have college athletes like a Vince Young and then have the number of them grow, and the black athletes, and not play them. At some point, you have to deal with the talent flow and just say uncle, and not only let them play, but recruit them and encourage what they do best, and then mix in that with their other intangibles to make them effective quarterbacks. That's how you get a Lamar Jackson, okay? And Lamar Jackson was arguably the first breakthrough because he got there in spite of people like Bill Polian saying, oh, he should play wide receiver. Remember all that garbage? It's funny how quickly they became a thing of the past his first year, and it's funny how quickly that went into light years in the past. His first game, second year, he throws 5 touchdown passes, and the whole league went bonkers, okay? You know what I'm talking about. So we went from, Pat Kerwin and I went from Vince Young in 2006-7 to Lamar Jackson now. And Pat has really evolved. I mean, he's a guy who, he goes with the numbers, you know? He doesn't disbelieve what he sees, you know? Pat's has been a great coach in his life in the league, great personnel guy,
and he's great on Sirius XM satellite radio too. Hey, so it's great to see Pat Kerwin and talk football with him. And then I met this gentleman who covers the Steelers. This is Jim Wexell. He covers the Pittsburgh Steelers over at the NFL Combine. What the situation with Mr. Rudolph at quarterback and that unfortunate fight? What was your thought about that?
My thought was the racism charge was made up. Mm-hmm. You look at that tape. Miles hit him the play before a bit late. Yeah, nobody goes back to that. Go back and look at that.
Okay.
Then the next play, he kind of drives him into the ground. Mason maybe overreacted by trying to rip his helmet off, and that's why Garrett tried to rip his helmet off. Because Miles, if you look, Mason was twisting his helmet on the back a little bit. I mean, there was no sudden reaction to being called anything. Mm-hmm. And then the swing with the helmet, because Mason was coming at him. And I asked Mason later, why did you come at him? Mm-hmm. He said, because he had my helmet.
That makes sense. It's kind of a logical thing. It's kind of like, see dog run.
I'm not a Trump guy, and apparently Mason is. People have dug into his background. So that doesn't make me feel better about him. It doesn't make me feel worse. But
that's client is a Trump guy, so.
Well, I live in Pittsburgh, and there are more Trump guys, especially in my all-white counties surrounding Pittsburgh. And so, I want to believe he's some kind of a jerk for being a Trump guy, but I know him. He's a really nice kid. But people dug into his Twitter and saw that he supported Trump. Mm-hmm. There were no racist remarks, but I just thought that was all trumped up by Garrett. There was no mention of it after the game. He apologized to Mason, and I thought it was BS. I really did.
Why do you think he did it to begin with? Why do you think he said that? He dropped that.
An explanation for swinging like a madman. I mean, he was out of control, and he was.
Do you think maybe he thought he heard something in his head?
No.
Maybe he was drugged up or something?
I saw somebody on ESPN say that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, he would have said something right after. Yeah. He would have told his teammates. He would not have apologized to Mason. I feel bad about the whole thing.
We're moving along. I mean, hell of a way to start off a conversation. How about bright lights? Your coach, Mike Tomlin. Thoughts? I'm a Tomlin fan. So I just want to,
I am. He has had a losing season. He the criticism in Pittsburgh is that he's winning with Bill Cowher's players, Ben Roethlisberger specifically. I don't buy that. I even give Barry Switzer credit for winning his Super Bowl. A coach wins a Super Bowl. It's just you have to bring everyone together. You have to lead, Mike Tomlin won the Super Bowl 2 years after Cowher left, an 8-18. So I'm a big Tomlin fan. I really am. Tomlin and Cowher were two different guys. Cowher was more of a tyrant in the building, protected his players, barked at the media, ran a tight ship in the building. There were people more on edge. Mike Tomlin is more of an energy giver. You see Mike Tomlin in the hallway. Hey Wex, how's it going? He lifts you up. How's your kid?
It seems like he's more like Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll.
You walk away from Mike Tomlin uplifted.
Yeah.
You just feel good. He makes you feel better. And that's a different kind of a coach.
Compliment. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Well, but the criticism that goes with that is that he allows you to. You're not on edge. You're not looking to improve constantly like Bill Cowher.
Right.
And so both ways are there are different ways to become a winning head coach. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season. Look what he did last year without his quarterback. Mike Tomlin. I appreciate Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, great. You guys had a first-round draft pick, an incredible first-round pick too. Linebacker. Steelers. Your thoughts about him?
Devin Bush?
Yes.
Well, it's reminiscent of Troy Polamalu, although Troy didn't play as much as Devin did. Mm-hmm. But once you expect in the second year, all of that natural athleticism to come out like Polamalu's did his second year.
Yeah.
So looking at that kind of potential, and they also traded for a number one pick, Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
And
That was a brilliant trade.
It was a brilliant trade, yes.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Because it pretty much gave us our draft season off as journalism covered.
Which you deserved, I might add.
Of course. Well, you know, when they traded Troy Polamalu, when they traded up for Troy Polamalu, they traded their third-round pick. If you remember, those were the days when the third-round pick was made that same first night. So you're working at 12, 1, 2 o'clock. So he gave us the night off then, and we went to the Pearl Jam concert that night. So we asked Kevin Colbert, hey, why don't you trade that second-round pick? Because they traded the third for Bush. They traded the first for Minka. Why don't you trade that second-round pick? And Kevin comes over to the table. He goes, if you guys don't show up that first round that we don't have, I'm trading up into the first round just to spite you.
Hey, man, how do they find you?
Oh, I'm at Steel City Insider. I'm at the CBS 24/7 network, and I run a subscription service. I've been in Oakland. I covered Marvell Smith. I went to his hometown and talked to some people about Marvell one time for a book I did called Steeler Nation. It was a road trip book, and we went through Oakland. You told me that was your hometown.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I posted it.
The Skyline.
Yeah. Skyline High.
Follow them, folks. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Eddie. All right, man.
Yeah, that was a fun interview. That just happened because we were both interviewing Evan Weaver of Cal, and he had a back problem. Jim did, so that's how we got to know each other. Great guy. So there were a number of people also trying to find more examples. Well, I've got a lot of them here. The trouble is that when I'm trying to scroll through here, the way they've designed this program, it doesn't easily scroll, okay, down. And so I'm trying to get it to scroll. So what I'm going to have to do is go here, back to home, and then go to YouTube channel, like so. Then go to videos, like so. And then scroll down. Oops. I was going to say like so, but it didn't really give me a chance to even do that. Like that. Okay, yeah, there we go. See that? And then just drag it down, and there's Pat and players and Quan, and there's Ross Blaylock, and this is Chase Young. I want you to see, I was talking about media. I want you to see the throng of people that lined up to watch this guy, to watch Chase Young. This is sick, man.
Everybody, if you want an idea of how popular Chase Young is, take a look at this.
Let's freeze that, okay? Most of these folks, see, okay, look. Also, as far as race, take a look around, see? All right? White and male, right?
And they just put up his name.
You see that? Okay. And I'm just telling it like it is. And so you have the occasional African-American person, the occasional woman, right?
Many accounts, he'll be the first pick. And yeah, I know what you're going to say about Burrow. We'll talk about that later.
And they're also carrying equipment with them that is much heavier than it needs to be, considering what the technology can do today.
I'll be right back.
And here comes Chase. This is a long one, folks. This one is almost 20 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but I just wanted to give you a sense of the media. And something else. You see how this speaker is oriented? I actually had to turn it this way because I wanted to make sure the sound hit my video, my smartphone, so that I could get the right volume ahead of given where I was standing. It worked.
Coach Jay go over guys that are stopping the run. To be a complete player, you got to be able to stop the run. And not just worry about it.
So managed to get a little closer later here. There, see that?
I try not to compare myself to anybody, but I do try to, look at a lot of different players and, take little things from them. Whether it be Khalil Mack, Von Miller, J.J. Watt, Nick Bosa.
Now the Redskins talked to him. The Redskins also have Montez Sweat. Can you imagine Montez Sweat and Chase Young on the same team? Oof.
So I just try not to really, put myself up next to a guy. I try to be the best Chase Young I can be.
Hey, Chase, what it?
As regards to coming here, he just told me to be myself. And, that's what I have been trying to do, the whole time I've been here.
I managed to ask him a question later. I was screaming to get mine in. That's what you have to do at times, such as life. And I think it was around here. And anyway, it's taking a while to, yeah.
Playing at USC when we won, I think Tony Jones had a game too. Touchdown 2 years ago. That was close to the playoffs. That was a great way to win at USC for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I had a lot of quarterback kids, a lot of pressures. If you know football, you see that. You'll see how they change their whole offensive game plan for one guy. But, a lot of people, may not really know how to study a tape or may not know how to watch football, but if you know, then I made an impact.
So I'm going to turn up the volume here a little bit more. There we go.
It's all about the sack team. I mean, the game is being the best defensive end isn't about sacks. It's being the most destructive player on the field.
You hear that? The most destructive thing on the field. You got to like that. Now, if the Raiders got that guy, can you imagine the Raiders getting him and then Cleveland, Farrell, and then Max Crosby? They'll be set at defensive end for years. For years. I mean, that would be a sick defense on paper. On paper, okay? That would be a sick defense. Play 5 linemen, 5 down linemen. Okay, who else did I have here? 1 second. I'll get back to your comments in a second. I just was just showing off, folks. proud of the stuff that I've gotten here. Wait a second. What else is there? There's a lot. There's a lot and there's a lot more. Let's see here. Oh, you heard Charlie Weiss and let's see here. Matt Plonsky and who else? And this is Clarence Hill covers the Cowboys. He is when it comes to the Cowboys, he is the man. He's the man in Dallas and Fort Worth. Clarence Hill Jr. Dean of sports writers in Texas.
Dallas, DFW.
The whole state, man. I'm giving him the whole state. He doesn't. I'm giving him the whole state. That includes Houston, the whole doggone. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Excellent. Cowboys. Talk to me about McCarthy. What do you think?
I mean, he's a veteran coach, a proven coach. He's their Andy Reid starter kit, so to speak. Andy Reid was the blueprint.
Yeah.
Going to a new place, getting re-energized, and winning the Super Bowl. The difference is the Cowboys ain't gonna wait 7 years. It took Andy Reid 7 years to win in Kansas City. The Cowboys think they have a team that's ready to win now. They wanted a veteran coach to come in and lead them, and they believe McCarthy can do that. But it's not going to be a 7-year honeymoon.
Oh, hey, so okay. First year he goes 6-10. What do you think happens?
Well, they're not going to fire him, but there will. Again, there's no honeymoon. There will be a huge disappointment. This is not a 6-10 team. It wasn't 6-10 on Jason Garrett. Right. So to take a step back and go 6-10, that's unacceptable.
What do you expect from McCarthy coming in? I mean, let me explain what I mean. For example, I expect a West Coast offense. I expect time passing. What do you expect?
Well, I mean, I think that every system has kind of morphed into each other. Okay.
Great point.
So there will
That's a great point.
There will be some West Coast. There will be some time and based passing game. But he's a West Coast guy. That's his roots. But he's going to do some of the new stuff that the kids do. I mean,
read option.
Yeah, all of that because that's the nature of the game right now. But it won't just be
tried and true West Coast that we did with Favre and Montana and all that other stuff way back. It's evolved. His offense has evolved, and he has to do what these guys do best.
What do you think he does with Dak Prescott?
Well, I mean, Dak is his guy. Dak is the quarterback. He's the one that they want to be the quarterback, and they're not going to, they're committed to making it work with Dak. They've offered him a deal that would make him the third highest paid quarterback in football.
Nice.
He wants to be the highest paid quarterback in football. That's why a deal hasn't been done. Yeah. In addition to, the labor agreement that's kind of messed with the structure. But there's no question about the Cowboys' commitment to Dak Prescott.
He's the man. Hey, thanks for your time, man.
Bro, appreciate it.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so, like I said, so a lot of media out there, and they're also who are really very good at what they do and deserve better from a technical standpoint. I can't say enough about that. This is Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn, like I said, I interviewed Brady Quinn. First time I interviewed Brady Quinn was when he was drafted.
Folks, this is legendary Brady Quinn, Notre Dame, and great broadcaster on Sirius Satellite Radio. Mr. Quinn, your thoughts on quarterback here at the NFL Combine, Tua versus Joe, or is it really that simple?
It's not that simple just because of, Tua's injury and not knowing really what's going to happen. Obviously, he's on the right track right now. That's typically what we hear with most injuries, though. No one really gives much bad news when things aren't going well. So, there's still more to figure out how healthy he is, when he would be able to potentially play. And so that's the first thing you have to figure out. But even if he was healthy, I think with what Joe Burrow did this year, to me, he showcased he's got a higher ceiling. I mean, he played the best season I think I've ever seen and ever even heard of when you look at the opponents he went up against on the road, the defenses, and just being flawless. Never a bad performance. And really, when you go back and you take into account, when he got to LSU a couple years ago, a little bit later in the deal, getting into that system, how he played in the second half of really 2 years ago, you started to see him kind of building towards this. And I think he's going to continue to keep building off this progression. So I would take Burrow over Tua, but that's not saying that Tua can't have a great, successful career and healthy.
Is it a mistake not to work out even to throw? Your thoughts?
No, it's the most overrated thing, to be honest with you.
And overall, who to you is the best player? Is it Burrow overall?
No, overall it's Chase Young. Yeah, I would put Chase Young just because you really don't have any holes in him as a prospect. I do think there's some thought with people with Burrow that, Joe Brady comes in, that helps you take a boost. You've got an offensive line that was the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, the best in college football. Justin Jefferson might be a first-round pick. Jamar Chase, a wide receiver, will be in another year. Terrace Marshall will be eventually. Thaddeus Moss will get drafted this year. Same thing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So there's a lot of things that were kind of helping him out too. Where when you're watching Chase Young and he's getting doubled and he's getting the line sliding his way and he's doing all that, you're saying he's still making plays. So, and he, was suspended for a couple of games. Who knows what those stats could have looked like, especially versus some of those lesser opponents he missed. So, he to me is the top overall prospect, but that doesn't mean he's going to go number one. That means, quarterback Joe Burrow will, and then we'll see after that.
And in closing, folks, this is a milestone because this man may not remember. It's the first time I interviewed him when he was drafted. Actually, before you were drafted, was at the Chelsea Piers luncheon.
Okay.
Yeah, in New York. Yeah. And so I want to say, this is the first time I've been able to interview a quarterback who's now a broadcaster. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Enjoyed watching you over the years, and continue. You got it. And how do they follow you on Twitter, by the way?
Brady_Quinn. That's where I'm on Twitter.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, because like the first time, this is Brady Quinn, just to show you how what I'm talking about. When Brady came about, they had The Onion made this article about him, and Bill Chackis, who I was working with on the NFL draft at the time, had this idea. This is what happened. So this is 2007. See that?
Okay, so I'm going to be the one to ask Brady Quinn the Onion story, okay?
Me?
Me.
Well,
Because I have the camera.
Well, why don't you bring this with you?
That's what I'm gonna do.
And see if you can see
that around.
see if he will confirm the quote. Brady Quinn says, "I'm going to be a bust." Now, does he mean a bust in the draft, or does that mean he's going to be so famous that one day they'll make a bust of him?
That's a good question for him. You think?
It sounds good.
We'll see what happens.
Was that with a 9 or something like that?
Yeah, really well.
They
Put it up on the front page of Yahoo.com and like blew up.
What was the name again?
Maria Sansone.
Yeah, Maria. I think she said on like a box or something. She did it too. She always stands on a box.
Oh, that's
Hey,
one
wait, you seen the Onion?
You
see the Onion?
I haven't seen Onion.
You tell them what they give, tell them what to go to hell or something like that. You've seen that? That's wild, isn't it? Yeah, it just came out today.
So there you go. That was, and then there was this was him.
Also,
Yeah. Well, I mean, test me over. They sent a playbook over ahead of time, like a small, and they have like a game plan for a week. Playbook, I just memorized that. He tested me out a little bit, which is fine. And then we did kind of what we did at the combine, where he basically gave me like 2 minutes to write down about 50 to 60 things in our offense between protections, runs, and passing plays. So we did that as well. I'm trying to think. I mean, out in the field was really fun. He's having me run around, throwing balls, doing all types of different things.
You get the sense that he's a little different because he's got that quarterback mindset than some other coaches out there?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can tell that. I mean, the drills he was doing, I'd never done before. So in that sense, it was definitely like innovative. It was fun.
How'd you do?
No, I thought I did pretty well. Actually, that particular day, I worked out later on the week for Tampa, and I think I just spun the ball better for Tampa. I don't know why it was. I threw a little bit that week. I thought I did okay.
But anyway, that was way back then. Also, Jamarcus Russell was part of that, as was the late Gaines Adams. Gaines Adams was a defensive end who was drafted by, so I have Brady twice. I have him there, and I have him also here, another one, okay? And then there's Jamarcus Russell and Calvin Johnson and Gaines Adams. Yeah. So quite a bit of history there. But then getting back to your commentary here before I go too far, and I think I've got everybody's comments here. I've been on longer than 41 minutes. This says stream for 41 minutes ago. That's wrong. I've been on for 129 seconds, which is 129 minutes, excuse me. Yeah, which is over 2 hours. Yeah. So at any rate, and it's 2:12. So, folks, I'll bid you adieu, and I'll say thank you very much for watching. This has been a lot of fun. And if you haven't done so, please, please, please subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. Hey, thank you so much.